A very good evening and welcome to the State of Business on our television. This is Madhusha Thavapalakumar. Let's take a look at tonight's headlines first. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe leaves for Vietnam today. Most Admired Companies of Sri Lanka 2018 awards ceremony held in Colombo. Now the stories in detail. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe departed to Hanoi, Vietnam today on a 3-day official visit to attend the World Economic Forum on the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. The World Economic Forum of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations will be held from September 11 to 13 in Hanoi, where 1,000 delegates from 43 countries and regions will participate in discussions on 5 key topics. The forum will be attended by industries from ASEAN members, leaders of international organizations and senior officials, and entrepreneurs from non-ASEAN countries such as China, Japan, South Korea and India. During his visit to Vietnam, Prime Minister Wickremesinghe is also expected to have one-to-one meetings with Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan, Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong and Chinese Deputy Prime Minister Hu Xuanhua. The Most Admired Companies of Sri Lanka 2018 awards ceremony, organized by the International Chamber of Commerce Sri Lanka and the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants Sri Lanka, was held in Colombo last evening. The event was attended by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe as a chief guest, with CIMA President Stephen Swinteski and ICC India President Jawahar Vadivelu as guests of honour. The award ceremony was held for the first time in Sri Lanka and was aimed at recognizing Sri Lanka's most respected companies. The awards recognized companies that are a cut above the rest in terms of their financial performance and on the value they create for their shareholders, customers, employees and the general community.
This prestigious inaugural event gives us all many opportunities to understand and to recognise companies' commitments to the local community and how they inspire employees whilst championing and enriching their communities. It is a humble honour to acknowledge these best companies, both listed and unlisted. The evaluation criteria for the awards highlights what makes companies succeed in today's increasingly complex and volatile world. A world that is changing at rapid pace, that real change is a new norm, and we all make individual choices of how we react to that change. Do we see that as a risk or do we see that as an opportunity? For those who see the opportunities need to be open-minded and create agile, creative businesses that impacts on the insights that are available to us.
Addressing the event, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe noted that the basis of economic restructuring of Sri Lanka is to transform the country's economy from non-tradable goods to creating more tradable goods. Speaking further, the Premier pointed out that policies that promoted non-tradable sectors such as infrastructure development have contributed to the decline of exports of tradable goods. He also called on the private sector to become dynamic partners in this conversion of refocusing attention towards tradable goods.
Although foreign borrowings have increased significantly in the past 10 years, such borrowings have not been invested in promoting or supporting the tradable sector of the economy. As the tradable sector has not expanded, this continues to contribute to higher debt service pressures. However, the expansion of the non-tradable sector has not yielded the envisaged growth level. That is what we are in. And that is the big challenge that we have to face. It's in this background that we have to look at the measures that the government is taking. Firstly, debt servicing, which means collecting higher revenues for total expenditure. Where do collect the revenue from? The tax proposals that are now being implemented are not arbitrary. It certainly is the result of discussions with IMF and it's a package introduced by them. But we realized that there were going to be problems and we said, let the first year go by and let's make the adjustments. Already we are in discussion with the private sector, both in Colombo and the provinces, as to what adjustments have to be made, what amendments have to be made, and those have been fruitful discussions. But nevertheless, a restructuring means we are going to refocus attention on tradable goods. So you go from the non-tradable sector to the tradable sector. And in this game, there has to be winners and losers.
Let's take a look at more news after this short break. Welcome back. According to the Director General of the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, Upali Ratnayaka, the surge in tourist arrivals in Sri Lanka has resulted in a positive average growth rate of 13.7% for the first 7 months in 2018 when compared to the same period in 2017. In an exclusive interview with Art Television, he also explained how both public and private sectors collaborate to promote Sri Lanka on a global scale. The Sri Lankan government established the Ceylon Tourist Board in 1966 to revitalize the tourism industry, which resulted in rapid expansion of the industry. Between 1976 and 1982, tourist arrivals increased by 24% per annum, rising to 407,230 and then dropped to 337,342 in 1983. The civil war that began in July 1983 adversely affected tourism, with arrival figures reducing by 43% year-on-year. Total arrivals in 1986 were 230,106, which was down 43% from 1982. After the conclusion of civil war in 2009, according to official statistics, tourist arrivals grew by an impressive 50%, or an increase to 160,000 from 106,000 visitors in the first quarter of 2010 compared to 2009. In 2015, 1.8 million international visitors came to Sri Lanka, stayed an average of 10.1 days and generated an estimated $2.98 billion, and these figures increased to over 2 million arrivals and total revenue of $3.5 billion in 2016. Tourist arrivals to Sri Lanka reached an all-time high of 2,116,407 in 2017. The arrival figure for 2017 represented a 3.2% growth, or 65,595 more arrivals over the preceding year, when the figure crossed the 2 million mark for the first time. In 2013, Lonely Planet nominated Sri Lanka as the #1 destination in the world to visit. In 2015, Forbes magazine ranked the island among the top 10 coolest countries to visit. To strengthen Sri Lanka's position among the global tourism destinations, the government, together with the Ministry of Tourism and the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, launched the Sri Lanka Tourism Strategic Plan 2017-2020 last year.
2018 is a good year for tourism. When you compare with 2017, the same period, we managed to get a 13.7 average positive growth rate. Some months we secure over 20%, some month is slightly lower, but still overall is about 14% growth rate. A totaling of 1.3 million tourists came to Sri Lanka during the last 7 months. The collaboration between the private sector and the public sector is an essential component in tourism, whether it is a promotion of overseas or even supplying product and services locally. Why? Tourism industry nature is quite different, where all the time the private sector and the government sector need to work together. And Sri Lanka in particularly, if you look at the development of infrastructure, road, maybe electricity, maybe water, and then again the managing tourism resources such as wildlife department or wildlife national parks, and also the maybe Sigiriya like cultural sites, all those things are managed by government sector. Whereas if you take a hotel or a restaurant or maybe a water sports or maybe any activity, guiding, all those things are done by the private sector. So finally, government sector facilitate to have the tourism, private sector do a business with the tourism. What tourists enjoy, or rather what tourists get as a final product, is the combination of the private sector and the government sector. Focusing to the question, to promote globally, It's again the government sector and the private sector. When promote, we take many initiatives. One is, by and large, like other countries, we participate in travel fairs. For example, world biggest travel fair is Berlin. WTM, the Berlin Travel Fair. Then again, in month of November, we have the London WTM Travel Fair. So likewise, there are travel fairs all over the world, particularly target generative market we attend as a country, in which if we take WTM, the space is very expensive. A single private company very difficult to attend in a travel fair. So what we do, we lease out or other kind of we take the space and 50% of the cost is shared by the private sector. So then as a country, both government sector and the private sector attend the travel fair, whereas positioning as a country with a theme is done by the government.
Speaking further on the economic aspects of the tourism industry, Ratnayaka noted that every 5 tourists who arrive in the country generate 1 employment opportunity. Expressing his concerns regarding the number of youth who are unemployed and underemployed, he emphasized upon the importance of understanding the scope of the tourism industry as it aims to be the #1 foreign exchange earner of Sri Lanka.
Economic benefit of the country, that's I think the most important question when I look at any tourism related question. Why we do tourism as a country is a question one got to ask it. Sri Lanka as an island country, our main economic activity of the country is the services. Second comes as the agriculture and the industries. Within the services, tourism is one of the services. But when we look at the tourism as a service, very small GDP contribution by the tourism, which is about less than 3%. But of course, when we look at the foreign exchange earning, there are limited sources we have to earn foreign exchange earning. For example, the expatriate working overseas is the highest even today. And the number 2 is the second source of foreign exchange earning is the tea that we export generate some foreign exchange. Third largest is the tourism. If you look at the first 2 sources, whether it has a growing potential and it has own limitation, we know expatriate working is 70% is the housemaid working in Middle East. Whether we promote it or expand it or is a question every Sri Lankan know what is the answer. Next come to the tea, again a very competitive industry, and also the expansion the potential or other kind of scope is limited. But when come to the tourism, so we have not explored the full potential of the country, whereas foreign exchange earning is critically important. Day by day the foreign exchange, the rate is Sri Lankan rupee devaluate, which affect to the Sri Lankan economy. So in that sense, earning foreign exchange and its sources are very important, out of which the only potential sector for future growth is tourism, which is very important to the Sri Lankan economy to contribute to the foreign exchange earning. Every 5 tourists create 1 employment opportunity. For example, when a 500,000 tourists travel to the country, 100,000 employment both direct and indirect get generated in the country. So likewise, generation of employment opportunity, tourism has a the contribution. With our recently launched tourism strategic plan, the current figure about 400 to 350 to 400,000 current employment capacity, we are planning to expand into a double 600,000 by 2020 by the strategic plan.
Now let's take a look at several top stories of the day in brief. According to Sri Lanka Ports Authority, the container handling at Sri Lanka's Colombo port has grown by 15.6% in the first half of 2018, which was the fastest in the world according to an international ranking. SLPA noted that Alpha Liner, a shipping publisher, had ranked Colombo as the fastest growing port ahead of Singapore at 11.6%, Guangzhou at 8.6% and Antwerp 8.3%. Coinciding with World Suicide Prevention Day, popular singer Ashanti D. Alvis released her latest music video to bring more awareness to Sri Lanka's alarming suicide rate. The music video, titled Hita Danna Miturane, features collaborations with popular singer and rapper Randhir and Drill Team. The project was carried out in partnership with Mobitel and British Council. Let's see how the stocks performed after this short break. Welcome back. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The all-share price index dropped 21.35 points to close at 6,096.54, and the S&P SL 20 dropped by 19.05 points to close at 3,197.77. The turnover was 615.9 million rupees and 9 million shares were traded. Next is Forex rates. With that, we are wrapping up State of Business for the day. We'll meet you tomorrow at the same time with more latest news. Until then, take care. Good night.